Hi, this is Teri Lyddiard at CakePlayGround.com, and I'm here today with Aidee Stephens.
Hi.
And we're here to talk about the wedding cake that she did, was it a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Now, was this your first wedding cake?
It was, and I learned a lot thanks to you.
Oh my God! Well, I'll lap that compliment up like a cat with milk. What were your thoughts when you first started making this wedding cake?
Well, at the beginning, I was like, am I going to be able to do it? This is a big project, and am I going to be able to deliver what I'm thinking and, you know, make it nice and wow her, you know?
And that's kind of what we talked about when we were planning the cake, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember saying to you, wow, Aidee, you're starting to think like a decorator. How do I put this together? How do I bake these big old cakes? Once I get it together, how do I get it to the wedding?
Yeah.
Did you have a couple of heart attacks in doing
that?
Yeah,
I did. Actually, I could take a lot, but this time it was, am I going to make it? You know, I almost passed out.
Well, I remember the first heart attack was when we were baking the cakes, right?
Yeah.
What happened when we were baking the cakes?
Well, the cake started, they didn't cook. You know, it's a lot of boxes. When you're working with a big size cake, you're wasting a lot of cake and time, and your cake doesn't come out right.
How big was that cake on the bottom? It was a big square, right?
It was a 14-inch cake. It was a square.
And how many boxes of cake mix did that?
It took 4.
4 per pan,
and
right? You bought some new pans for it, right?
Yeah, they're pretty neat because they're thicker, so they're really square, so that gives us a nice, you know, edge in it. It was pretty neat.
Yeah, you said you had complimented the precision of the edges on those squares, that you liked how very sharp they were, right? Mm-hmm. And we'll see later here in the video that it really gave a good look with the fondant too, right? I was excited.
Yeah.
I was totally excited.
Yeah, and it's possible.
And you learn how to make gum paste orchids too, right?
Yeah, which they were beautiful. And before I worked with gum paste, I was so scared of it. Mm-hmm. And I said, am I gonna be able to do something like that? Once I started doing it, it's time consuming, but it's a lot of fun, and it's something that everyone could do. And
it makes you wonder why you were so scared, right?
Yeah.
I think I told you. I took a class at the Wilton School in gum paste, and I actually had the Wilton cutters, the whole big set, the whole shoot and match. I had gum paste, and it sat in my house for years until I took that class. And I took the class, and it's like gum paste, no big deal now, right?
Yeah, it's like so easy.
It's like Play-Doh.
Yeah, it is.
It's like Play-Doh.
It gets your mind going.
Yeah, and Fran, your mother-in-law, Fran, was here too to help us with
she had so much fun. Now she's a cake freak now.
Yeah, she's a junkie too, right? We're all like cake crack addicts that once we get started, we can't stop.
Yeah.
In fact, she bought a whole set of Wilton cutters too, didn't she?
Yeah, now she's got the whole set. Before that, she for Christmas, she gave me this set, and she was like, are you sure you're going to use it? Because it's kind of pricey, and I won't give you this if you're not going to use it. Now she started buying everything. Now she has more than me.
Well, I remember when you came over originally to do a cherry blossom cake that we did with pandas, right?
Yeah.
And that cake turned out so cute.
That was a lot of fun.
And that's the first time we played with gum paste, right? Yeah. That your first introduction to gum paste.
I was like, this is not too hard. It's
and I remember you brought your big old kit, and you'd take out a piece and you'd say, what's this for?
Yeah.
What's this for? What do I do with this? And you look at it like, what do you do with that? We're actually doing a piping class next week using some of those tools, right?
Yeah, I can't wait.
And just another tool in your arsenal of creativity.
Yeah.
So now you do the fondant. We have fallen in love with the matte, right, for fondant.
Oh, yeah, that's the best thing.
You know what I like is, it's 2 sheets of vinyl, right? 2 pretty big sheets of vinyl. I think they're like 24 by 24 or something like that. You put the fondant in between. You actually roll on top of the vinyl. And then when you get it to the size, you can measure whatever on this vinyl. Nothing wrecks it.
Yeah.
You can measure how big you want it to be, and then when you're got it to the size you want it to be, you just roll back the top sheet You pick up the whole other piece of vinyl with the fondant on it, carry it over to your cake.
Yeah,
no worries, right? You don't worry about it.
Moving, nothing.
Nothing. You don't worry about it. You take it and you put it on top of your cake. You look and see if it's in the place you want it to be. If it's not, you lift it back up, move it around, put it back on the cake. That we both were rolling fondant.
Yeah, we had so much fun.
And we were developing our biceps, right?
Yeah, we were also working out. We had this fast music.
That's right. When we listened to the White Stripes right there, right? Yeah. The rolling music was White Stripes that day.
Yeah.
So the fondant that we've been using is satin ice, and you really like that too,
right?
right?
It's really good, especially the chocolate one. It's like, it tastes like a layer of chocolate, and which is not any fun tastes like that.
To me, it tastes like rolled thin Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah, there you go.
And even the vanilla that we used on this cake kind of tastes like vanilla Tootsie Roll to me.
Yeah,
it's really good tasting.
It's got a good aftertaste.
And don't you find that it's very easy to work with too?
Yeah.
Very pliable, no cracking.
Yeah, it's not so hard,
You don't have to sit there and knead it, and it's just I love satin ice.
Yeah, me too. After using satin ice and the regular Wilton, it's like you can't go back to Wilton.
You can't go back. You can't go home again on that.
We
We worked on some other elements too on this cake. We had some little monograms up on the top.
That was a lot of fun making those.
So you had actually printed off some fonts that you liked.
Yeah.
And we sized it up against the side of the cake. And then we put the letters that you wanted underneath some parchment. And then we piped royal icing.
Yeah.
We kind of drew with some royal icing with a number 3 piping tip. And then we took some disco dust and glittered it on the top, right? Is that how we did that?
Yeah.
And then let those set up hard. And then you just kind of pull against the side of a table to pull the parchment off.
Yeah.
They were a little bit delicate though, right?
Yeah.
How do we fix them?
With royal icing. Nothing, royal icing is
nice
really
and easy,
good.
right?
I even used it, because later on you'll see that in the cake there was, some
breakage
in there. And I covered with that and people couldn't even tell that the cake broke.
Well, they call royal icing the cement of the bakery.
Yeah.
Right? One of the challenges that you had is transporting the cake to the wedding.
Yeah.
How did we start off transporting that cake to the wedding?
We took this cake and actually, the car that we were going to transport it didn't have air conditioning, which we didn't know that was something really important. And, we had to sometimes you have to make decisions like real quick. I might have to be there a little later, but bring the cake. Or if
you better show up, right?
Yeah.
If there's no cake, that's not an excuse.
Yeah, so we actually stopped and had to change, get a different car that had the air conditioning going on because, the weather is so hot. And fondant will not, be hard and the cake would scramble in pieces. And,
you got to carry it level too, right?
Yeah, and it's got to be, because the car, the seats roll down. So we put the cake in there and we didn't notice. It looked like it was straight, but actually it wasn't totally straight. So the cake was tilting a little. So, when the movement of the car, it kind of...
The vibration.
Yeah, the vibration kind of make it start splitting. Yeah. So that's pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
to see all that work, especially knowing that your best friend is waiting for
no excuses, right?
Yeah.
So I think we went through some options, right? Because you were freaking out a little bit, right? Did you feel your heart kind of pumping out of your chest? Oh my God!
Ready to give up. I was like, am I gonna make it?
And the thing is, I think you just don't have the luxury of the freak out, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of went through some options. We even talked about taking the top 2 layers off and making it a 3-layer cake because that was the 3rd layer down that was breaking. You were transporting it with the 14-inch separate and then the other 3 tiers stacked, right? Yeah. And then we talked about a couple of things. We talked about taking the fondant off the cake and putting new fondant on it. We talked about covering the cracking with extra flowers that we had. We talked about actually putting another ribbon around the cake, right?
Yeah.
That was a possibility too. Even though it may not have been perfect, it would have had a cake that was delivered.
Yeah, and that's one thing I learned. To deliver the cake, you gotta have extra of all the decorations you have. In case something happens, the weather, the car, all those things, you could just improvise and make your design nice, and it's still nice. It might not be the same, but it's nobody even knew that happened.
That's right.
Or that the design was different.
Yeah, they didn't know, because remember our motto around here is however it turns out, that's exactly the way you want it to be. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody that it's anything different. Yeah, actually when you look at the pictures at the end, the tear that broke is in some of the front facing pictures, and it's covered with an orchid. You can't even tell. I mean, when the bride and groom take a picture in front of that cake, nobody's going to be able to tell other than you and I. Just because we put a picture in here because it was a good lesson for us, right?
Yeah, it's if you want to learn how to make a cake, deliver it, you gotta know all these things are gonna happen. Otherwise, it'll happen like me, like it'll take you in surprise, and you might not be able to handle it.
Now, when we originally talked about the time frame for this cake, I remember I had padded in a lot of extra hours. Were you surprised when I told you how early you wanted to get started?
Yeah, at the beginning I was like, well, even when I told my friend I gotta be there, several hours before, she was like, why you have to be there so early? And I even thought the same, because I didn't have experience of doing that. And I said, well, I don't know why so many hours, but I'm glad I went ahead and because you're my teacher, right? So I said, okay, I'm gonna do what she says. And actually, it was perfect timing, because all that happening, having to get a different car, having to change the whole design, and fix the cake. It took a lot of hours, and we were actually able to finish it only half hour before the whole thing started.
Crazy, huh?
So if we would have, like I thought, maybe an hour before or 2 hours before, there's no way we could have done it. Like, it would have been a disaster.
You never know what's going to happen, because you guys hit traffic too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a lot of traffic.
And it was a long distance away.
Yeah, actually we ran into an accident.
Yeah.
And the accident, because it was a Saturday, so we were like, why is so much traffic? Well, there was an accident, and things like that always happen.
Yeah, you live in LA area, you never know what traffic's going to be like.
Yeah.
You were transporting it from my house in Baldwin Park to Chatsworth, which is what, I don't know,
like 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, in good traffic. If traffic is perfect in LA, that's never really usually happens. So, in the end, were you happy with the experience?
I was really happy. Everyone loved it. My friend, because everyone asked, because not only it was beautiful, but it was delicious too. So everyone asked for my number. Everyone wanted to, wanted to, have me make their cake.
Yeah.
And they couldn't believe that I was just starting, that it was my first cake. They were like, get out of here now.
Excellent. Yay.
That's really professional.
Yeah, that's a good feeling, huh?
Yeah, I was feeling so good, and all the stress, all the work pay off.
Didn't you tell me? I think you told me too that your friend told you that people wanted to take pieces of that wedding cake home.
They wanted. Actually, people left, and they even called. Can you make sure you save me a piece?
Isn't that great?
I'm coming back tomorrow. And
And we had actually done it with alternating layers of chocolate and vanilla, right?
Yeah, and we also alternate the icing, the chocolate and the vanilla icing.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool look.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things they love. Yeah. Because they never seen something like that before. Yeah. And it made it, the flavor kind of made it, so unique and different. Yeah.
Well, I am glad that you and I had the experience to do it
together.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A little bit of heart attack for both of us. But we lived through it.
Yeah.
Okay, Aidee, so I can't wait to work on the next cake with you.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And like I said before, you're a really good teacher.
Aww.
And I learn a lot. It's like so easy to, because you explain everything. Because you've been through it when you were learning. You were scared too.
Of course.
That makes it so easy to have not only a teacher, but a friend too.
Okay, so this is Teri Lyddiard at CakePlayGround.com, and this is Aidee Stephens.
Hi. Yeah.
Future cake artist. Actually, current cake artist, right? She's a pro now.